So if you don't want your name in lights, now's the time to leave. Any personal attacks against a director will be gavelled out. I'm going to say this at every meeting going forward. You will be invited to attend an executive session or to meet with the general manager or myself to discuss your concerns. We don't discuss you guys or your accounts in public. We live here too, and we deserve our privacy just like you do. No
Everybody down.
Other than that, to my fellow directors, let me brief our comments so we can get as many questions in as possible. If you have a question for a specific director, address it to that director. Otherwise, I will take the first blush and we'll go from there. Okay, when you ask your questions, name and lot number, please. Yes, ma'am, in the back who really wants to say something.
Oh, I thought we were starting questions already.
Huh?
I thought we were starting questions.
You did. You're the first to go. Go ahead. Name and lot number.
My name is Alexis Harvey, lot 460. And my first question, because I'm sure there'll be plenty today, is the last elections we had several board members. They ran on a platform that said that we were going to have a master plan and that we were going to have improvements to our playgrounds because we wanted to attract young families with children. So I want to know where the master plan is, and I want to know why we're not improving our playgrounds sooner.
Well, it's interesting you should say that because we just actually, Director Winters and I are going to come up with a comprehensive plan for all the playgrounds. Part of the revitalization committee, which people are complaining about, part of what they're going to do is come up with a long-term replacement plan for Aquia Harbor. Most of our buildings that need to be replaced have been replaced. Now it's time. We're aware that we have less children in here than we used to. We need more families in here, and our parks are outdated. So I think you're going to see a significant investment in the parks within the next year. Now, you guys might not like how much we're going to spend, but we believe every park needs to be updated, and we fully intend to do that.
So Chip, you're saying that the revitalization committee is going to work on a long-term plan for the parks. What about a long-term master plan for the harbor in general?
In general,
Building. So that's a great mandate for the revitalization committee. I mean, that's something.
That's what I want them to do. You know, their first focus is to look at the committees that take care of the appearance of Aquia Harbor. Their second plan is a long-term plan of what needs to be fixed when. And in my mind, I want us to keep moving forward. I wanted us to redo the stables this year, and because we've pretty much done a building every year. Stables really can last a few more years, so I want to invest the money in the parks. Don Winters wants to do the same thing. He's handling that, and I think you will see that improvement soon. Next
Can you
question.
stand up and speak? We can't hear you back here.
I don't talk very loud, I'm sorry. Yes.
I'd like to know what the,
Name and lot number.
oh, excuse me, Bruce Hatlam, 1496. Why aren't we enforcing the visitor side current year stickers at the front gate? We put up those nice new signs. I think it's evident, and yet people that have either non-current or in some cases not even stickers that I can see are still being passed through the current year visitors, or the current year residents side.
Well, we had, and Chief, if you want to help us out with this.
Absolutely.
But, you know, basically, I think it's two work sessions ago, we had, was it the state's attorney or was it the county attorney that came in? Commonwealth, so the state's, okay. And he told us that stickers are, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, those are separate issues.
Okay.
Traffic stops on stickers are not in the state code, and we can't make traffic stops on them. We can control them at the gate. What we have is a grace period going on. This year we changed the calendar year. It used to be in July, and it moved to April, and not everybody got that word, and there was a lot of confusion about it. So July 1st, the gate will be enforcing that red light violation. But we wanted to allow enough of a grace period and for that confusion about the change of the calendar year to happen, because while we want to enforce those things, we don't want to stop you from being able to get home. And when we hit that red light, we back up traffic. So on July 1st, in fact, the lieutenant just finished the policy. On July 1st, they will start red lighting it. Now, the difference is gate runners, we're asking for compliance from you folks because this isn't a criminal violation. If you live here, you are not trespassing, even if your sticker's expired. But because the sign is up there, because we want to encourage neighborhood compliance, we need your cooperation with it, and we will be red lighting those. And we ask for your patience because it is going to back up traffic. But we've been up there monitoring it, and there is a lot of voluntary compliance, a ton of it. I've also put it in the Harbor View for the last 2 months, that this is coming, the red light's coming, you need to start using that other lane. So we feel at this point that enough notice has been given, that everybody's on board, nobody's been left in the dark, and we'll be comfortable throwing that red light.
Thank you.
Name and lot, ma'am?
Brenda Laylott, 899. Just a little clarification. At the last board meeting, it was stated that the stable manager had been fired for performance. I don't know this person. I don't want you guys to get that misperception. But if you read the minutes from February 25th, it clearly states the funding was eliminated for the stable manager position. I just want to ensure that there's no defamation of character lawsuit against the board for a misstatement. I would hate if I was in the same position to have someone state in public that I was fired for a performance issue, when in reality, your legal documentation, the meeting minutes clearly state the funding was eliminated for said position. That's all.
You want to take that?
Be glad to take that. The position was eliminated, and of course the funding was taken away, and we gave the duties of the stable manager to the building manager.
Correct. No, I understand that.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that if it was a misstatement, that somehow that could go back and maybe be corrected.
Okay, thank you.
All right, next question. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
Name and
I'd
lot.
like to, I'm sorry, Val Richard, 2032. I'd like to request a reconsideration. I understand that dogs do not belong in all Aquia Harbor buildings. They do create damage, and I totally understand and agree with that. However, when it comes to the marina office, that building was designed to be dog friendly. It also draws people in from other marinas, not necessarily the dogs, but most boaters do have dogs, and it's part of their family. We have people coming in because we have the cheapest gas. We have people coming in just to spend the weekend. And when they get rejected at the door of the office because they have their dogs, they're not going to want to come back. And if they have to tie them outside or just bring them in to get out of the heat and get a little bit of water, this is a big deal, and it can drive customers away from our marina, and I don't think any of us want that. I mean, it's been designed to be dog friendly, it doesn't have carpet, it's not going to do damage. And I just request that we have a reconsideration, at a minimum, on the office at the marina. Thank you.
So everybody knows my answer for that is I'm 100% in favor of that. I'm also 100% in favor of providing what we're supposed, the services we're supposed to be providing to the harbor in a public safety stance. We mitigating, we had a plan to mitigate a lot of that stuff. So of course, if you were here in the last board meeting on Wednesday, that I'm 100% for that, and I think that's something we need to do. I think maybe Chip and I can work out the details of that and represent it, if that'll work.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're kind of on a, let's see how it goes right now. We should. I was here when we built the marina, and the ship store was built with the floor that it has to be dog friendly. That's why it was built that way. So I think that's something we're going to reconsider, and we'll go from there.
Thanks,
Yes,
Jim.
ma'am, in the back.
Hi, Paula Villial, lot 2084. It's been brought to my attention that residents that are on the payment plan for their dues are considered to be in good standing if they're current on their payments, but some of them haven't received their stickers and aren't allowed to purchase pool passes. And I'm just wondering why they've been told they have to wait 6 months to purchase a pool pass, and it doesn't seem to be applying to everybody that's on the payment plan. It seems like it's a penalty and that we're picking and choosing what they're allowed to do and not allowed to do because they're on the payment plan. And none of that was outlined in the paperwork that came for our annual dues, saying that there was a payment plan or you could pay in full. So I'm just wondering if you can clarify why it's only applying to some residents on the payment plan, why there's a 6-month delay for them to get their stickers and buy pool passes, because in 6 months It won't even be cool weather.
Okay, thank you. I think, and Catherine, you may know this better than me. I don't think it's 6 months. I think what has to happen is if you're on a payment plan, you have to make 3 payments. And then you get your stickers, and is that it, or no? You know
But
better.
why? Why?
We need to do.
Because a lot of people, ma'am, get on payment plans, at least in the past, you get on a payment plan when the pool passes are due, you make 1 payment, and then you don't pay again for the rest of the year. And it
But
happens quickly.
because you changed the year for dues, those 3 months
I
makes
think,
them not able to buy.
Paula, I
a
think we're
pass.
talking past each other. So there's a couple payment plans. So I'm on a payment plan because I pay quarterly. Is that what you're talking about, quarterly payments, or are you talking
I'm
about
not
someone?
sure what specific payment plan they're on. I
Okay.
just know I asked her if she wanted to go to the pool with the kids and my
Sure.
kids. And they said they weren't able to buy a pool pass. They had to wait 6 months. Irregardless, it doesn't say in the paperwork that if you choose the payment plan, you're not able to purchase a pool pass, let alone have your stickers for a few months. It doesn't say that.
Okay, so there's two things we're talking about here. One is quarterly payments. There's a lot of us in here that pay quarterly. We get our statements quarterly. There's another thing when somebody's behind on their dues, then they choose a payment plan to catch back up to that, to catch, back up on their past dues. So to be sure that it's being handled in good faith, the board and the business office requires 3 payments before you get your stickers and everything else, just to make sure you're following the correct pattern, and then if you just haven't made 1 payment to get your stickers and the pool pass, and then you're gonna go behind.
I just think we need to explain that when we send out the paperwork then on these options, because it's not in there.
Okay, so we don't put that out to everyone, because we do on payment plans on one-on-one basis, correct, Ken? Is a one-on-one, and the payment plan is set up with that person, between that person and the business office. And if you want more information on that, I'm sure Ken and Catherine will be able to fill you in on the specifics of that.
Okay.
But it's individualized, so it's not the same for everybody.
And we will put that on the form, that's not a problem, it's not on there. But the 6 months where that comes in, if you fail on your payment plan and you come back a year later and says, hey, I want to do another plan, then you have to make on-time payments for 6 months before you get stickers, pool passes, and other things.
No, I understand that. If
So
they
that's
negate
the
on
way it works. That's why it is 6 months for some people, 3 months for others.
Okay.
I'd like to respond to that briefly. We actually have, currently there are 346 people in the harbor who have delinquent accounts, and that totals about $515,000. That's current. That's people who, for whatever reason, sometimes for hardship, sometimes for poor financial planning, or sometimes just because they don't feel they have to pay their dues, don't. And that means the rest of the people who do pay their dues are carrying the load for over $500,000 worth of debt. The board has been looking at ways that we can encourage people to catch up on their dues, those who are delinquent. That's why we do allow an installment plan for anybody who wants to pay quarterly rather than pay the full year's dues when they are actually due on the 1st of April for everybody. We have, as I think Chip or Chris might have stated, in our acts of trying to cooperate and help people to get current with their obligations for living in here, some folks have figured out a way that they can play the system. And sadly, what has happened is we've had people who will get on a payment plan. These are the people who are delinquent, not the ones who simply are choosing to pay 4 times a year, but those who are delinquent in their dues will pay the first. They'll say, we'll get on a payment plan, we'll pay the first month of that payment plan, get their sticker for their window so they have the free access like every other active resident has, and then they default on their agreement. So we're trying to find ways just to encourage people to pay what they owe, try to work with them, but the reason that there's kind of what appears to be a different set of circumstances is, it depends on whether or not you, as an individual, are delinquent and have a payment plan. Completely different from those of you who choose to pay in 4 quarterly installments. I hope that clarifies something.
Well, is someone on a payment plan considered an active or inactive?
Can't hear you.
I said, if someone is on a payment plan, are they considered an active or inactive member? Do they have voting rights?
We went over this at the last election. If they have made 3 payments, they're considered an active member. They are, yeah.
What if they fail at that point? Are they immediately then inactive?
Yes, they are. They are in default at that point. Yes, sir. Name and lot number.
Yeah, Kevin Caroon, lot 423. Let's stay on the topic of dues. I've been here a little over 23 years, and I'm in good standing. I've never missed paying dues and stuff. So with that said, let's talk about I get a lot of my information from the magazine that comes out, the waste pickup. So I paid my dues this year in full, and now all of a sudden we're going from 2 to 1 day a week pickup. Just a side note, in that same newspaper magazine, they're talking about an issue of trash in here, dumping trash. So you might have people dumping more trash now because it's only being picked up once a week. So anyway, my question is, what's the deal? I want to hear some clarification on exactly what's going on with that. And for those of us that were anticipating getting our trash being picked up twice a week as opposed to once, we feel like, hey, we paid for it. Now we're only getting it picked up once a week. So clarification on that. Please shoot it out to us because we think hey, we paid you the money. Is there a slush fund somewhere that you're keeping that money? I don't know. These are the perceptions of the property owners. If you don't tell us what's going on, we don't know.
No, you can if you want. Okay. Mr. Crew, thank you for your question. You're not the only person who has asked that, and this is a good opportunity for us to clarify. We have an annual contract with a trash collection service. Previous one expires, if I'm correct, Mr. Langer, probably expires on June 30th. And so when that has, we have to renegotiate a contract after a certain period of time. It was our hope that with fuel costs dropping initially, that maybe we would have some actual savings passed along to us by the trash contractor. What has happened instead is Stafford County raised the tipping fees that they charge the commercial haulers to take trash to the county landfill. Also, another thing that is kind of surprising is what the commercial haulers can get for their recycling now has actually gone down because of economic events in the economy, so that they're not able to resell the things that they recycle as high as they used to. The combination of these two things led to us trying to find a way to have the trash contract provide, the least impact on individual residents. A lot of people are doing more and more recycling, which is excellent. In fact, this last financial report, we had the highest rebate money from our recycling that we've ever had. It was $1,600. That means that people are being more careful about what they're throwing in the waste and trying to put it into the recycling, where the more we recycle, the more rebate money we get back. Going from 3 days pickup to 2 days pickup, we were not going to have an increase in cost passed along to us as an association. There's kind of almost an unplanned benefit to that. By having the trash trucks come in here less frequently, It's also less wear and tear on our roads, which is another huge concern we have. The big trucks that come in here, our roads really aren't designed to carry that extra weight. And so a side benefit of having the trucks come in less frequently is that it should reduce our costs long-term for our having to maintain our roads. But if you need more than one trash can because you recycle more than can be held in your recycling bin in the course of a week, you can ask and get a second trash can, a second recycling bin. If you have a big family and you just have a lot of trash that goes into the waste portion of it, and it gets filled up faster than your can hold it, you can get a second can. So I don't think anybody is going to have any true reduction. Hopefully you see the reasoning behind it, and we made the decision based on what we thought was in the best interest of the community, weighing everybody's concerns.
Can we get the number out there, whoever we need to call about getting a bigger recycling can? Because I think that's probably prudent.
Just call the business
Yeah.
office.
Okay. All right.
It's also on the side interesting.
Thanks, Deb.
And the name of
Easy
the
way to
firm
do it.
is County Waste.
Let me piggyback on the comment. I appreciate the clarification to an extent.
I guess that's something.
Okay, I guess one of the personal issues that I have is the fact that the flexibility of putting it out, even if you only put it out once a week, because I know a lot of people probably only put their trash out once a week. You know, especially in the summertime, so you put trash in there and it sits for a whole week, it stinks. Okay, so that's something I take into consideration, all right? And the second thing, and probably more importantly, is we spend money on other things in the harbor as well. So there has to be some sort of list of priorities. So are you saying that the board made the decision this is more important and, you know, doing this than maybe adding a little bit more money to the trash pickup and taking money away from some other priority? Did you ever do a cross evaluation of that? Like say, let's cut this so we can continue to have the 2 days a week as opposed to, you know, I'm not trying to tell you all how to do your business. I know you all volunteer and I appreciate that. I just don't have the time to do anything out there like that, or I would. But you know, when it starts hitting home, then I got to make a point. So if you could just tap on that, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, the way we do the budget, for those of you who don't know, is we look at historically what we spend on everything we do in here. And it really is kind of a, okay, what did we spend last year? What do we anticipate spending this year? And then we kind of back into what the dues are going to end up to be. When we did the budget this year, we didn't have the trash contract. We didn't know what it was going to be. When we finalized the budget with what we thought the trash was going to cost us, and the existing service that we have, that's what we set. When we got the contract, it turned out, we could have done this. I mean, I think we found out to have the extra pull was $5. Was it $5 a month more? It was $4 a month more to have the extra pull. We're saving like $1.80 by cutting back one. So you're looking at about a $6 difference. So that was one consideration. The other consideration was a lot of people, and you may not be one of them, but a lot of people feel like that you can drive by around the Quiet Harbor and see a trash can out almost every day. So the idea was to have the trash cans out twice a week and then off the street. Because really, you can drive around here on any day and see a trash can out on somebody's street, whether it should be there or not. So the idea was if we cut it down to two pickups a week, that it would be better. But you're right, you know, I'm an empty nester now, so the smell isn't a big issue with me, but I understand what you're saying, that in the summertime, having to hold your trash for a week is an issue that we did not anticipate. Next. Yes, sir. Name and all.
Jack Patterson, Block 2787. A few days ago, I received some information that some board members of the board of directors might entertain the idea of eliminating the police department. And I wanted to state that if that is the case, that to many people, I would suspect the vast majority of property owners would strongly oppose that, especially the people who go back to my time in here. I moved in here in 1975. We had no police department at that time. We had private security. In other words, we had no law and order. And we had a lot of vandalism and other crime, although not significant crime, it was a problem. Since we brought the police department in here, this has been a nice, quiet, peaceful community. Some of the new people, when they come in, they'll ask me, well, why do we have a police department since this is such a nice, quiet, peaceful community? And I'll tell them, you answered your own question. We have such a community because we have a police department. And I would like to commend the chief of police. Officers for a splendid job. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm talking to y'all, but I want to stand over here because I want to make sure they hear and all of that stuff.
Name and lot number, sir?
I'll get there. Jim Hodges, lot 465. Dues, dues, dues. I keep hearing this, and I would like a little more precision in describing the problem to y'all. Every time you quote 500,000 and the word is dues. Well, folks, if you like to study financials and want to get into it, let me tell you something. That 500,000 is composed of two parts here. You got about 250 that's called current. It's in that 0 to 270 range. I can almost guarantee you, without going back in again and looking at books, that that is predominantly late dues. But we also have this other over 270 days. It's 250 to 260, and it's as consistent as the weather. I mean, it changes, of course, it goes up and down a little bit, but it stays in that range. That $250,000 that sits in that is old. It's composed of some dues. It's composed of lawyer fees that are due. It's composed of interest. It's composed of LCC. It's a conglomeration of stuff in there. And it's so old, some of it, that it's been ruled uncollectible. Look at your balance sheet. You got $200,000 on the balance sheet that's already been declared bad debts and written off. Do not stop the pressure on collecting dues. That's not my message in here, okay? But your real problem is that old stuff out there is a problem, but you're probably not going to get anything out of it unless you spend more than you're going to get. That 0 to 270, that's your emphasis. That's what you're chasing, trying to get those people to get current. Now, understand what these people go through who aren't current. They don't get their stickers. They don't get to use the amenity rates that this. They're paying 1% interest a month on that stuff. If they don't pay, if they're not a current member, they don't get to vote. They do lose their privileges. They don't get the stickers a card. I mean, that's what everything keeps spinning around. My point is, these people do pay a price for not paying their dues. I don't think they're skating. And the other thing I've emphasized is that they're paying 1% a month on that unpaid balance. If they pay it up front, we throw it in a checking account and it earns what, Ms. Treasurer? About 1% a year.
About
If that.
3/4%.
You're making more money off of people if they pay. That's the condition. And they do eventually pay, somewhere in that 0 to 270 range. But you're making more money off of them than Hodges going in there and paying everything up front. Keep the pressure on. I'm not discounting that, because you want everybody to pay and want to pay on time. I'd ask the board, why don't y'all go in, look at that over 270, break it down as to what all was in that, and then if you want to make a statement about who's not paying dues, quote the right number. Because you're exaggerating when you say 500-something thousand. Trust me, I'll be happy to go in there and do it for you if you want me to.
Hi, my name is Maureen Croy. I live at 467, lot 467. Now that Mr. Hodges said, I don't want to say 500,000 if what he's saying is true, when I have every reason to believe him, he's my neighbor. But my question is, do we have some concrete list of how many of those people, of what, 400 or whatever you said, actually are living in the harbor, and how many people are renting their house and just gone, and this is in their rearview mirror, and they're not even dealing with this. Because I personally, I know a lot of it was rumor, but when you hear about the, us asking the police chief to keep, little children from their homes or scrape off stickers, I don't think anybody, I can't imagine anybody who would be for that. But I guess there were some people. What I want to know is, why don't we zero in on those people that are not living in our community and are renting their house? Mr. Winters told me and some of my friends the other night that we have a lawyer on retainer. Why aren't we using that lawyer to come up with some sort of reason to put the pressure on the people that do not live here and have no investment? They're just like, whatever, who cares? Like maybe they can't rent their home, or there's an extra fee to rent their home, or something like that. But I would be very interested in hearing how many of those people. That's my one part question. The second thing is, if we are going to visit other neighborhoods like Lake in the Woods or Fawn Lake or wherever we are going, again, I don't know if that would be your job, if you should have a committee, who it would be, but how are some of these premier communities collecting their dues? Because if they don't have police chiefs, then they're not, I just can't imagine they're running around scraping and getting people to go the wrong way. And when they go to the right, I don't know how much the signs and everything cost, but when they're going over there, what happens to them? You didn't pay your dues. They probably know they didn't pay their dues. Now they have their kids in the car. We can't keep them from their house. It just seems like this is not really effective. So and if you guys work really hard, I'm an avid volunteer myself. So if it's too much for you, maybe like an action committee or something to come up with some other way. So that's my question.
Okay. Accounts receivable has been an age-old issue in here. I was treasurer for a lot of years. And the number hasn't changed, quite frankly. It stays around $500,000. The old accounts are what they are. Eventually they get written off, or we give up on them. Your question about landlords, there are landlords in here that rent their houses out. About 6 years ago, we took all of our accounts back from the attorneys, okay? We were spending about $150,000 a year and collecting next to nothing. So we were just throwing money away. So we brought all the accounts back in-house. We filed judgments, we got judgments, and we followed up that way. But it was at the time when everybody that had bought into Aquia Harbor was upside down, because the prices went from here to here, and everybody lost their equity. They could barely pay their mortgage, let alone their dues. Mr. Hodges is right. I mean, the fact of the matter is the number of people that are here and active members are recently inactive members that don't pay their dues isn't that high. Half of that number, $500,000, will never be collected. Half of those, we have a lot of homes in here that we bill the dues every month, and there's nobody in the home, or the home is getting ready to foreclose on. The bank doesn't want to take title, because the second the bank takes title, they got to start paying the dues. There are people that live in their houses in here for a year without paying a mortgage, because the bank does not want to foreclose on that house, because they don't want to pay us. That's just the way it is. About 6 months ago, we went back with the attorney. We sent him 10 accounts. We spent about $5,000 or $6,000 so far. We've collected $3,000 or $4,000 so far. You need to understand, when you get an attorney involved, it's about $500 minimum. Our annual dues are $1,200. So what's the break-even point? Where do you get to the point that you say, okay, it's just costs too much money to go after? We have a lot of accounts. We have an account right now, the gentleman owes us like $18,000, lives in here. We spent $5,000 in legal fees. He still owes us $18,000 and hasn't paid us a penny. It's a difficult situation. Bad debts are a part of this industry. Now, when you talk about going down to Lake of the Woods or some of these other places, we're going down there, what's Monday? We're going down there Monday. One of the questions we're going to ask them, what is your bad debt ratio? How do you collect your money? I think our guys do a great job of collecting money. And I'll tell you one thing we did this year that a lot of people complained about, which really worked, is we raised that installment fee from $25 to $50. 200 more people came in and paid their dues in full.
254 more.
I'm sorry, the treasurer says 254 people. But anyway, a lot more people. That one slight thing cuts down on staff time, gets more money in the bank, and gets more people to pay in advance. The people that do not pay are not going to pay. There are people that live in here that are not going to pay, and there's nothing we can do about it. You think we're this big bad association, but quite frankly, you don't have that much You really don't have that much points. We can, what's the big deal? You make them go through the visitors gate. That's the only thing you can do. They don't, a lot of these people don't use the amenities, so they don't really care. So it's a difficult problem. The number, you know, I've been on this board for 8 years now, the number has always been $500,000. It's always between $450,000 and $550,000. It's always been.
I hear what you're saying, but if that's your answer, I don't understand. We're saying, okay, this isn't as big of a problem, and the part of it that is a big problem, we're going to try and take care of it. I mean, is it a big problem, or is it not? Because I was told that that is one of the reasons we were considering getting rid of the police chief, because she was not able to collect the dues. And I was told that by someone on the board.
I have no idea where that came from.
From someone on the
The
board.
chief of police has nothing to do with collecting.
From someone on the board who told me
Well,
that.
you guys say what? The chief of police has nothing to do with collecting.
We spoke with Don Winters the other day, and we asked him, my name is Jennifer
Name
Nee.
along
My name is Jennifer Nee, but I don't know my law number. I don't know, I've lived there
We
10
vouch for her.
years.
She lives there.
10 years, I
Okay,
still
you
don't
live
know.
It's on your pool pass.
It's on my
You
pool
should
pass.
edge
Okay. Anyways, we spoke with Don Winters a few days ago and asked him point blankly, you know, we hear all these rumors or whatnot. We want to know what is real. I mean, why would you want to get rid of the chief? And he says, because, well, he said we don't really want to get rid of her, but one of the reasons people may want to get rid of her was because she cannot enforce, or not cannot, she does not want to enforce the taking off the stickers.
Off of cars.
Off of cars, and what?
She can't enforce taking the stickers off the car. She can't keep people from their homes. She has to, what he told us was, she has to abide by the law of Virginia State or whatever she is under.
Yeah.
But if it was a security force, they would have to abide by the laws of the bylaws or whatever laws that the board of directors, you know, see made it. So if you were to say, don't let people come in or scrape the sticker off, or whatever you, as a hardworking board, got together and said, this is the way we're going to go, if we had a security force, they would have to